Welcome back to Panorama Anime. Today I will be continuing my recap on Jobless Reincarnation. In the last episode, a man died and was reincarnated as a baby named Rudius Greyrat. He had all of his knowledge from his past life and was able to master magic when he was 3 years old. His parents hired a tutor named Roxy to tutor him, and after 2 years, he became a Saint-Class water mage. His dad, Paul, sent him away from home to gain experience in the real world, and he is sent to tutor a young noble girl named Eris. He has trouble connecting with her, so he plans a pretend kidnapping to teach her that reading and magic are important. The kidnapping turned out to be real, and after they escaped, Eris accepted Rudius as her tutor. In exchange for tutoring her, Rudius is learning how to sword fight from a beast woman named Ghislaine. The next day, Eris practices her sword fighting with Ghislaine. She tells Eris that she will be advanced rank soon. Rudius points to himself and wonders if the same goes for him. Ghislaine looks uncomfortable and Rudius sighs. However, he doesn't mind and keeps working hard to teach magic to Eris and Ghislaine. One night, Rudius is busy perfecting Roxy's figure using his earth magic when he hears a knock on his door. Edna, Eris's dance teacher, has come to ask Rudius to share his teaching time with her, so she can prepare Eris for the big dance at her 10th birthday party. It will be a big event and many nobles will be there. Rudius's true pervy nature slips out for a split second when he realizes he'll get to see Eris dance, but he quickly gains his composure and gladly agrees. Since he now has free time, Rudius meets with Philip and tells him he wants to learn another language. He decides to learn the beast god language, and Philip gets a little too excited about having servants from the beast race. Rudius asks for Philip's permission to borrow books from his library along with books from other continents. That evening, Rudius writes a letter to Roxy, telling her about his progress and his plans to learn new languages. But he soon realizes it won't be such an easy task since he doesn't understand a single word when he starts reading. Just then, he hears yelling outside his room. He steps out and sees Eris running away from her dance teacher because she's struggling with her lessons. Edna tells Rudius that if Eris continues like this, she will embarrass herself in front of the guests. Edna makes Rudius feel guilty, and he agrees to talk to Eris. Rudius finds Eris lying behind the shed. He asks her if she quit dancing, but she kicks him in his face. He says he understands that giving up is an easy way out, since he did it a lot in his previous life. He tells her that he decided not to repeat the same mistakes and persuades Eris not to give up. Rudius tells her he's trying to learn languages from different regions but can't understand anything. Even so, he will not give up and offers to help Eris in her dance lessons. They start to practice together, but he realizes she is way worse than he thought. Later, Rudius asks Ghislaine to help him understand the beast god language, but she is no help. He feels stuck again, but he suddenly receives a package. The package is from Roxy with a letter. It says that she understands how unique and complex the grammar of the beast god language is, so she made a 1,000-page textbook to help Rudius. Rudius is overwhelmed by Roxy's gesture and feels the need to lick her feet the next time he sees her. It seems more of a fetish than showing his thanks for her help. A few days go by and it is Eris's 10th birthday. It's a day of festivities with a lot of delicious food and musicians entertaining the guests. Eris looks charming in her dress, and soon her grandfather, Lord Sauros, announces the main event of the evening, Eris's dance. One of the guests asks Eris to dance with him, but it doesn't go as planned and they both end up falling. This shocks the guests, and they whisper to each other about how Eris is an idiot. Rudius can't stand seeing Eris embarrassed, so he volunteers to dance with her. It doesn't go well at first, but Rudius asks her to implement the steps they learned in their sword fighting lessons. This makes Eris dance very well, and they get applauded for a wonderful performance. Chick magnet Rudius accepts compliments from 3 girls, but Eris smacks him on his head and drags him away. Later that night, Rudius presents Eris with a magical wand as a gift from a master to his disciple. He also gives one to Ghislaine, who gladly accepts it. She then gifts Eris one of her rings as her birthday gift to keep men at bay. Even though it is a superstition, it seems to work on Rudius, and he keeps his hands to himself that night while they share a bed. The next morning, Rudius hears sounds coming from the tower and decides to check it out. He opens the door and finds Lord Sauros getting cozy with one of the servants. The servant runs away when she sees Rudius, but Lord Sauros doesn't mind. He shows Rudius a small planet-like object with rings floating in the sky. 2 years have passed since Eris's 10th birthday, and she has reached an advanced level in sword god style. The floating planet is still in the sky, and Rudius thinks it has grown bigger, but no one knows what it is. On his way out, Rudius sees Eris excitedly pushing a cart full of ingredients into the kitchen. Rudius secretly follows them and finds out that Eris is planning to surprise him for his 10th birthday. Rudius leaves her be and wonders about his family lineage. Only recently he discovered Paul's real name is Paul Notos Greyrat, and the Notos family is one of the 4 head families of Greyrat. The current head of that family is Paul's younger brother. However, there are forces behind the scenes trying to get rid of him. Because Rudeus is from the same lineage, he is under the protection of the Boreas family. It is extremely important that his identity is kept low-key so he won't have a big party like Eris, which is why she feels bad for him. And to make it up to him, she is secretly planning his 10th birthday party. On Rudeus's 10th birthday, he is busy reading a book as usual. Ghislaine keeps him company and praises him for learning 3 languages in just 2 years. Rudius feels hungry and gets up to leave, but Ghislaine stops him because the others are secretly planning a surprise. Rudeus realizes what is going on and decides to take advantage of the situation by showing Ghislaine her figurine that he created using earth magic. Ghislaine is surprised that he hasn't made her tail, and Rudeus explains that he hasn't seen the base of it so he can't get the details right. He asks her to show him her tail, and without thinking twice, Ghislaine removes her pants to show Rudius her bottom. Rudius is impressed by her stone-hard butt muscles and he knocks on them just to make sure they are real. He is called for dinner, and when he arrives, he is welcomed by everybody. Rudius suddenly starts crying and thanking them for going through the trouble of organizing a party. Lord Sauros is touched, and between sobs he proclaims to declare war against Notos and kill their current leader. But Sauros is soon dragged out of the party for being dramatic. Rudeus thinks his acting was a little too good for him to handle. Eris asks Rudius to ignore her grandfather and tells him about a surprise she has prepared for him. Rudius takes a guess and asks if his parents are here, but Eris hesitates and says they couldn't make it because the monsters have been active lately, and Rudius is upset. Suddenly Eris's mother, Hilda, who hated Rudius up until now, hugs him and with tears in her eyes declares she will adopt Rudius, or even better, she will marry him to Eris. Eris is embarrassed and asks Hilda to stop, and she also gets dragged out of the party. Eris finally gives her present to Rudius. It is a staff she had made by the most skilled craftsman in the city using precious materials from all around the world. It is called the Aqua Hartia. Rudius thanks her for the gift, and the celebrations begin. After the party is over, Ghislaine carries a sleepy Eris to her room while Rudeus sits with Philip. Philip tells Rudius that Eris used to have an elder and a younger brother, but they were taken away by Philip's elder brother soon after being born since Philip lost the fight for successorship. He explains the lineage of the Boreas family is raised in the current head's household. Philip says that Hilda had to go through the pain of losing her kids to the head household, which is why she hated Rudeus. He asks Rudius not to have hard feelings toward her, and Rudius promises that he doesn't have any. Suddenly Philip gets serious and asks Rudius if he is interested in marrying Eris and becoming the head of the Boreas family. He even offers to force Eris to marry Rudius right at that moment if he agrees. But Rudius doesn't want to be a part of the family drama and he declines and excuses himself. Once in his room, he finds Eris waiting for him. Since it is his birthday, Eris gives him an exclusive opportunity to wiggle his hands on her. Rudius finds it suspicious and wonders if Philip has anything to do with it, but he realizes it is Eris's idea of making him feel special. But Rudeus loses control and places his hand in the forbidden area, so Eris slaps him and kicks his masculinity. Rudeus can't believe he let his emotions control him and apologizes to Eris. She surprisingly accepts and promises they can try doing the same exercise 5 years later on his 15th birthday. Eris soon leaves and Rudeus is overjoyed. He decides to keep himself from having waifu hentai thoughts until then, but he remembers that he will be going back to Sylphiette when he goes home. Back in Rudeus's village, Paul is furious that he couldn't attend Rudeus's birthday because of high demon activity in their area. After a hard day of fighting off the monsters, he comes back home to his happy family when a strange cloud on the horizon catches his attention. Somewhere in the mountains, a man walks alone. He is attacked by a dragon but doesn't get burnt at all. He stares into the dragon's eyes until he intimidates the creature and it flies off. The man looks worried and says he can feel magic power gathering and wonders what has gone wrong. It's probably the extremely suspicious orb with rings that nobody decided to investigate for 2 years. Lord Perugius recognizes the magic power as the summoning light and worries that someone is trying to release the seal on the demon god Laplace. He orders somebody named Arumanfi of the Bright to find the source of the power and kill anyone who looks suspicious. Meanwhile, Rudeus, Eris, and Ghislaine are out in the open field. Rudeus wants to show them his saint-level magic using his new wand, but as he's about to cast the spell, They get attacked by Arumanfi. Ghislaine defends them and asks for his reason to attack them. He tells them that Lord Perugius sent him to eliminate the root cause of the orb, and Ghislaine clarifies they had nothing to do with the orb. Suddenly, Arumanfi disappears and so does the orb. A bright light strikes the surface and spreads, capturing Ghislaine, Eris and Rudeus in it. Rudeus wakes up in his body from his past life, but he can't see anything due to the haze. A random man introduces himself to Rudeus and calls himself the Man God. He tells Rudeus that he has had his eye on him for quite a while now, and knows what a hopeless life he lived before being reincarnated. He assures Rudeus that he will not change back to his former self, as this body is just what he looks like in his mind. The figure tries to give him advice, but Rudeus is in no mood to listen and thinks he is suspicious. But the figure tells him that his life might depend on it since they are stuck in the demon continent. He explains that Rudeus and his friends were caught in a huge mana storm and teleported. Rudeus understands the gravity of the situation and agrees to listen to his advice. The Man God tells Rudeus that he'll see a man lying near him when he wakes up. Rudeus needs to rely on the man and help him, and the figure disappears. Rudeus soon wakes up and finds himself lying under the night sky near a bonfire. He is back in his 10-year-old body and sees Eris sleeping nearby. He looks for Ghislaine and finds someone sitting across the fire. He realizes it is a man with green hair and a red gem embedded on his forehead. Rudeus freaks out and realizes it is a demon from the supered race, but he relaxes when he sees the man is calm and has no intentions of attacking them. He asks the man what happened. The man tells Rudeus that he and Eris fell from the sky, and since the human race is fragile, he made a fire to keep them warm. Rudeus thanks him for saving them and asks about Ghislaine, but the man tells him that he only saw the two of them. Rudeus introduces himself and the man tells him his name is Ruijud Superdia. He also tells Rudeus they are in the northeast of the demon continent and promises to help them get back to their continent. Suddenly, Eris wakes up screaming upon seeing the man from supered race and starts crying. After she calms down, Eris is annoyed at her mother for telling her scary stories about the supered race. Ruijud says it's because some people of his race have brought disgrace to their name. Rudeus interrupts and says if they are going to travel together, they should become friends. The next morning, they start their journey at the break of dawn and travel the entire day until they reach a village. Along the way, Ruijud kills a monster before they could see it. He says that the third eye on his forehead helped him see it before it could attack them. They soon reach the village, and Ruijud talks to a resident named Rowan to allow them to pass through the village. Rowan refuses, making Ruijud furious. Rowan agrees to talk to the village chief since he doesn't want to upset someone from the supered race. They wait for a while, but when nobody moves, Rudeus asks what is happening. Ruijud tells them that Rowan belongs to the Migad race, who can talk to each other through telepathy. The village chief soon arrives and is impressed by Rudeus's manners. He notices a necklace on Rudeus and asks where he got it from. Rudeus tells them it is from his master, Roxy. Rowan is in shock and yells out that Roxy is his daughter, and Rudeus realizes he is in Roxy's hometown. The chief welcomes them into the village, and as night falls, Eris can hardly keep her eyes open after a long day of traveling. She soon dozes off, and the village chief Ruijud and Rudeus stay up. Chief Keef tells Rudeus that Ruijud is on a mission to get rid of the bad reputation of the supered race. This is why he promised to help Rudeus and Eris reach their continent safely. Rudeus knows that is a difficult task because children are warned about the supered race. They are taught that they attacked everyone regardless of being enemies or allies during a war. Ruijud suddenly becomes grim at the story and clarifies that it was a plot by somebody named Laplace. Rudeus is scared when he sees Ruijud angry, but he asks for more information. During the war, Laplace gave the supered special spears. Rudeus remembers that Laplace unified the demons and obtained rights from humans. The supereds fought with him as his subordinates and accepted the honorable spears from him. But suddenly the supereds started attacking everyone around them, regardless if they were enemies or allies. Nobody realized the change, and eventually, they began to kill everyone they could see, even their family members. Ruijud picks up his spear and says that this spear is his son's soul, who sacrificed his life to save him from the curse. The spears were cursed and the supereds fell for Laplace's trick. This is why Ruijud has made it his mission to get rid of the curse. Rudeus finally gets it and promises to help Ruijud in his mission. The next day, they are getting ready to leave when Roxy's parents give Rudeus a blade as a parting gift. Rudeus gives the blade to Eris, who is delighted to finally have a weapon she can fight with. Eris is already putting her sword to use by killing all the monsters, and that night, they eat her catch of the day. They continue traveling and soon reach a cliff that will take them to the town of Rikarisu, but the gate that leads to the town is heavily guarded, and passing them with Ruijerd will not be easy. While thinking of a plan to get through the security without any hassle, Rudeus spots a blue stone that leaves color and uses it to color Ruijerd's green hair to blue. The guards do not suspect them and let them pass. The three are overwhelmed by the town and decide to earn money while they're there. After changing their appearances, they walk into a club where the Adventure Guild gathers. Rudeus wants to see if their disguises work, so he says that Ruijerd is a super devil and sings about his strength. But the demons laugh at them because they know that superds have green hair. Rudeus registers his team as Dead End, which is also Ruijerd's nickname. This is their first step to erase the bad impression created about superds. They stay in a hotel for the night, and Eris almost beats up another guild member to death for accidentally breaking the button of her cape that Rudeus bought for her. Rudeus apologizes on Iris's behalf because she doesn't understand demon language, and he helps them heal using his healing magic. That night, Rudeus falls asleep, and he is again visited by the suspicious figure that calls himself the Man-God. Rudeus says he sucks, and the man advises him to accept the Lost Kitty quest and see where he's taken from there. Rudeus wakes up and finds Eris awake, staring outside the window. He sits by her side and assures her that they will go home soon. The next day they start looking for the kitten, and they reach a cave where they find the demon kitten as big as a regular-sized panther. There are also other animals kept in a cage. They hear someone coming and hide in the shadows. 3 demons come and threaten the pets, but Rudeus, Eris and Ruijerd attack them. Rudeus uses his earth magic and restrains them to the wall. Rudeus approaches one of them and asks why they have captured all the pets, but the man headbutts him and sends him flying. Ruijerd is angry and decapitates the man in one strike. Rudeus can't believe it, and Ruijerd doesn't see anything wrong with what he did. Rudeus thinks it will be impossible for the superds to regain their reputation if Ruijerd continues acting like this. He asks Ruijerd never to kill again because no matter what the other person does, killing them for it is wrong. Rudeus then turns to the frightened adventurers and asks them their purpose for stealing the pets. They admit that they do it so that when a request is made, they just return the pets and earn money. Rudeus asks them to work for their team, but Ruijerd loses his cool and refuses to let the villains into their team. Eris suddenly punches Ruijerd to leave Rudeus alone. She yells at him that Rudeus is doing this for their own good. Ruijerd finally calms down as he still has a promise to fulfill. The group returns the pets, and the pet thieves go to the guild to raise their party rank from D to C as Rudeus asked them to. Rudeus tells them to accept rank B quests, and his team will accept F rank quests. He says they will exchange the quests and take the reward money since Rudeus's team has just registered and can't accept quests beyond F rank. He also asks the other team to spread good things about Dead End. Meanwhile, Roxy is traveling to the Mana Calamity area to find out if Rudeus is okay. A huge billboard is placed for the townspeople to put up letters informing their loved ones of their situation. She comes across a letter from Paul to Rudeus stating that Zenith, Lilia and Aisha are missing after the calamity hit them. Norn is with Paul under his protection, and he believes that Rudeus is capable of finding his way back, so Paul has postponed his search for him. He further writes that he is going to the Millis continent where Zenith was born. He also plans to visit Lilia's hometown to leave a message for her with her parents. He asks Rudeus to search for them in the central continent, and if he finds them, he must write back to Paul at the given address. Meanwhile, Rudeus, Eris, and Ruijerd are on another quest to find a monster in the petrified forest. They find 2 other teams already fighting over the quest. They ultimately agree on a first-come, first-served basis and hurry to find the monster before the other 2 teams can. But Ruijerd stops Rudeus and Eris and asks them to follow the team with young kids, because he is worried about their safety. They follow the other team, and soon the other team is surrounded by monsters. Ruijerd and Eris are ready to jump in, but Rudeus stops them, thinking that if they let the situation worsen a bit more before jumping in, they might be able to create a good name for themselves. He is busy in his thoughts when one of the other team members gets brutally killed by the monster. Rudeus freezes, but Ruijerd and Eris jump into action and kill the 2 monsters. Ruijerd is furious at Rudeus's poor judgment about the situation that cost somebody's life, but the other team's leader, Kurt, stops Ruijerd from hurting Rudeus and takes responsibility for his fallen teammate. He says he underestimated the danger and endangered his team's life, but they are adventurers, and they know they can lose their lives at any time during a mission. He then cries his heart out while Ruijerd sits by his side. Kurt and his teammate carry the remains of their dead teammate back and bid farewell to Rudeus, Eris, and Rudyard. Rudeus's team has no choice but to continue the pursuit, and they soon come face to face with a red hood cobra. They decide that this is the mysterious monster they are looking for. They see the third team in trouble and jump into action immediately. Under Rudyard's guidance, they are able to defeat the red hood cobra, but they realize that they weren't able to save the members of the third team. They bring back the remains of the red hood cobra to give it to Jalil, but another adventurer finds out about their secret exchange and tries to blackmail money from Rudeus. Rudeus thinks if he sticks to non-violence he could avoid trouble, but there is no getting out of this trouble since the information could cancel them and lose their adventurer ID. Rudeus is about to use his magic to delete the blackmailer from existence when suddenly, Rudyard pours water on himself and reveals that he is a superd. He then grabs the blackmailer by his neck and warns him to stay quiet, or else he will find him and kill him. The blackmailer pees his pants and passes out, and Rudyard runs off into the mountains surrounding the town. Rudeus tries to stop him, but Rudyard is gone in seconds. Kurt is also scared, but Rudeus reminds him that Rudyard saved his life and he shouldn't be afraid. Rudeus is disappointed at how people are behaving after Rudyard's identity is revealed. They leave the town and reunite with Rudyard outside the city. Rudeus apologizes for being naive. Rudyard also apologizes for overlooking Rudeus's efforts. He knows Rudeus is desperate to protect Eris, and that makes him a warrior, according to Rudyard. Rudyard says that he will protect Rudeus and Eris regardless of restoring the good name of his race. Rudeus thanks Rudyard for understanding but says that he will do whatever it takes to clear Superd's name, and they laugh at each other's stubbornness. Rudeus is happy that he has been acknowledged by Rudyard. He thinks a mutual bond of trust has been formed that day, and it will last for a very long time. The next morning, Rudeus is shocked to see Rudyard bald. He shaved off his hair so they don't get into trouble again. Rudeus also gives Rudyard a headband to cover his third eye so people don't find it suspicious. Rudeus realizes he has been trying to do everything all by himself. This time, he decides to discuss it with his teammates and work on things together. Team Dead End is officially on a new mission to their next destination, the Asura Kingdom. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Jobless Reincarnation. If you want to find out what happens next, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Panorama Anime, and comment for the next episode.